In this session we're going to talk about the clutch column. It's a very important part of installation. It's likely that tech support has sent you to this video because this is an area that needs to be checked out, and we believe that a good understanding of how everything works is imperative here. So this is obviously one of our clutches, and when we torque this clutch to 55 foot-pounds of torque, we're actually exerting 6,000 pounds of force against this D-spacer in this case, and it sets up the column. So what we've done is we've got a cutaway here to help demonstrate how the column works and why it's important. So in this case, this is a drive pulley. Most applications have a drive pulley. Sometimes there'll be a spacer. It's critical to make sure that spacer is in place, and followed by the coil bearing or the first clutch bearing. And you note that that bearing, the inner race of that bearing, only the inner race is seated against either the drive pulley or the spacer. So if I exert a little force to that, you can see the outer race spins and the inner race is locked. Next is the rotor. This part's called the rotor. On there you'll see this race right here. It's kind of raised up, and it's meant to sit on the inner race of that bearing. So that's the next one. Next would be a pulley bearing. This would be in your pulley of the clutch. And again, this inner race is going to sit on this clutch on the rotor hub. It's going to sit right on that hub, as you can see there. And again, if I put a little pressure to it, you can see that it turns. And then lastly, depending on your application, you may have a D-spacer or a 1/4 inch thick flat washer and your bolt. So now what happens when we tighten this to that 55 foot-pounds, exerting some 6,000 pounds of force, you note that it is compressing the clutch. So everything is creating what we call a column. And we refer to, if this is wrong, we refer to that as a column violation. So if anything is wrong in this column, the clutch will fail. So it's very important to get everything in order, and again, to make sure if there's a spacer there that we're reusing that, and so on and so forth. Now, some applications, you see I've got a pulley back here, where the drive pulley is a little different here, and you'll note that there's a seat here. Now, often with these types of drive pulleys, they'll get rusted and corroded and so on and so forth, and you'll install your clutch over that rust and corrosion, and when you get it all seated up and you torque it to that 55 foot-pounds, there's some corrosion preventing that inner race from seating real tightly like I've gone here. And if we get some junk in there, the clutch will fail. So that seating surface and this surface needs to be cleaned real well before that's all put together. So that's a little bit about the clutch column, and hopefully that helps. Thank you.